Welcome back to the shop. Today a highly requested video. I'm going to try and mod this flashforge 85X and see if I can clipperize it. Now it is running native Clipper. The only thing is that when I grab my laptop right over here and I type in the IP address, I am not getting any image of this system. So we need to install a mod, and for that I will need this USB stick. The files that you need will be down below, but first of all let me test it to see if it actually works. So let me grab the files from the GitHub and I'm going to show you how to install them. Now to install it, there are two ways and these are all described in this GitHub. You can use a macro and download it that way, but I think the most easy part is going to be to extract the file, put it on a USB stick and throw it on this printer that way. I don't want to show you how that macro works because honestly, I don't know. So let me download the file and I will get right back to you guys. So in my case, I'm going to pick the 85X Zmod 1.6.2.tgz. That is the one that we want to download. I am downloading it right now and I'm going to put that on this Prusa stick. Also, a little correction I need to make is that in the previous video, I told you guys that this is going to be a DC heated bed because it is dark slow. Now, apparently it is an AC bed and it is also dark slow. I never seen a slow heating AC bed. Now I think it is a good way to heat up a bed. Just slamming a bunch of power in a small little plate like this one is not going to do anyone good. Alright, now you know, in the instructions from Zmod, they were telling me that we need to do a factory reset. So let's do that. And then we are going to plug in this sticky and that should be it. Indeed, it looks like we had to insert it after the factory reset and do a reboot because right now it is doing the update. And right here on the screen we can see it, we are installing the Zmod. Alright, the good news is the printer isn't dead. The bad news is I cannot make this mod work on 1.1.7, which is the current firmware. So the next best thing is downgrade it to 1.1.6. Following the manual, it said to do a clean native install. I did it, but I used 1.1.6. Now I'm doing all the calibrations just like the manual, and the next thing is going to retry the mods and see if this time it will work. If not, I am done. This is not going to be a video that I will even release. But if you're watching this, I'm going to make it work. Holy smokes, it worked. Putting in a fresh firmware and after that doing the Zmod, I can now pull this one out. I have a fluid interface. Very nice. Let me home all the axes. Alright, but we are not done. Right now we also need to do some updating, and for that I'm going to scoot you a little bit closer. The only thing to get the fluid interface is going to be to put in your IP address of the printer itself. That's going to be it. That's all you need. So right now I'm greeted with this right over here, and now we need to do some updates. For that, we need to go to the gear wheel right over here. Press it, and then we need to do all the updates. What I can see right over here is that everything is corrupt. Not a great look to start with. This is what the screen is starting to look like. We can see right now we have Zmod fluid, and also right over here we have the Zmod logo. The only thing I did was what I'm going to do for the last one, and that is going to recoup the corrupted files. So I had quite a few that were corrupted, but all these were fixed by trying to recover them. Basically the Zmod one, the no poop one, and the bamboo fire one were all corrupted. Now they are all up to date. We have one more to go and then we should be capable to do anything we want without erroring out. So the only thing you want to do is, in my case, this is the Dutch word for recover, herstel. Then it is going to pull some data from the internet. It is going to apply it to the printer, and now you can see everything is up to date. We have no more corrupted files. The printer is restarting. We can also see right over there we have the Zmod logo going on. Not gonna lie, it didn't look very good in the beginning. There looked to be a bunch of stuff being corrupted, but right now we can see that we have the Zmod logo on the screen. We also have the Zmod logo on our fluid interface, and I hope that this time when we are going to reboot the printer we have no more corruption going on and we can do some actual testing, and I can also show you why you want to use your fluids or your mainsail. Now, standard, it comes with fluid. Not sure how you are going to adjust it for mainsail. I think it is some code you need to change, but I don't care. This is what I wanted and I am very happy with it. Time to get back to the laptop because the printer has now booted up for the hopefully last time. I'm going to do a quick refresh to see if we have any updates left, and nope, we are up to date on all our things. One thing I could see is that the temperature control was all kinds of borked. Right now it seems to be doing better, but what the hell is weight value? The weight value right now is at 180 degrees Celsius. I have no clue what this is, but yeah, we are going to ignore that for now. I can see we have our extruder, heater bed, and then we have our head. The head is probably going to be the MCU of the print head. But first of all, let's do a quick homing. I can also see we have a bunch of macros right over here. And we also have our calibrations. So this is right over here. In my opinion, this is going to be why you want fluid on your printer, because all your calibrations right over here are now accessible, which isn't the case if you are going to use the stock flashforge firmware. So we got our calibrations, we also have system, then we have the Zmod tab, we have camera on, camera off. Right now we don't have a USB camera, so we don't have it. Not sure what this is going to be. Then we have our filament, pro, macro, call on layer, and then we have rare. All right, let's try to load up some filament and see what is going to happen. We already homed, that is going to work. Now I want to try and heat up my extruder to 200 degrees Celsius. I'm going to heat up the bed to 75, and now I'm going to try one more thing, and that is going to try and move the head. And yep, that also seems to be working. We can now do the print moves just like that. We can also see the extruder is heating up and the heated bed is heating up, so that is working perfectly fine. Right now I'm going to disable it because we want to do our own PID calibrations. To do a PID calibration, we need to be at the section calibrations, and then we have PID tune bed and we have PID tune extruders. I'm going to pick 235 degrees. Then cooler, not sure what it is, we are going to send it. The printer started moving around. Here we can also see the commands, and here we can see the PID tuning going on. Now, I can hear the fan running, so probably the second number, the 255, is going to be the 100% fan range. So if we're going to put that at 0, then we will calibrate without our fan. But I'm going to leave it like it is right now. We can see the wave pattern forming. This is the nozzle heating up, cooling down, heating up, cooling down. And this is going to calibrate to a perfect result. We are going to do the same for our bed. So in a nutshell, with Fluid, we get now complete control of our printer. If I want to calibrate it, I can calibrate it. We also have a console screen. If you want to put in commands, you can do that right now. We can see everything that is on the printer, so all our files. We can see whatever we have printed right now that is cleared because we have put on a new firmware. Everything has reverted to 0. And also something we couldn't see from the printer is going to be our bed mesh. So after all of this, I'm going to do a bed mesh and we're going to see how bad the bed is. This is going to be very interesting to do some problem solving. And with that I mean I now can see if the bed is shaped like a taco, just like the Sovel SV08 or not. Right now we can get that data, and I can even load up some pre-existing data for different filaments, so I can preload a filament if I want to. Just by pressing a button it will load it, and then we can say I'm going to do an ABS print, load up the ABS mesh. But in my opinion, you should definitely do a recalibration before every print. Now the cool thing about the bed mesh is that we can see now how bad the bed is going, and also how big of a deviant that we have on our bed. So we can see if it's tilted that way, this way, or this way. So that is going to be very interesting to see how well the bed is actually leveled or not. Here we can see it is doing the calibrations. I think we are almost there. And there we have it, the calibration is done, and we can see right over here, these are going to be all our new values for our hot end. Now I will be doing the same for the heated bed. That is going to be this step right over here. I'm going to calibrate my bed at 65 degrees Celsius. Here we can see it, 65 degrees, it started doing the calibrations, and it is going to look a little bit like this. Only the spacing is going to be way wider because we have a bunch of thermal mass in our bed. Right over here you can see it doing the exact same thing. It is heating up to 65, cooling down, heating up, cooling down, and this is going to give us a value. And here we have it, this is the PID of our bed. Now the cool thing about this is that we can find everything in the configuration. So let's go to the configuration, printer.cfg. We can now see we have values for our heated bed and our extruder. So these are now saved, and we can do this whenever we want if we push those buttons. Another cool thing, I figured out why the AC bed is so slow. Right over here we have our heated bed configuration. And you can see right over here that the heated bed, even though it is on AC, it is dark slow. And you can see why. This right over here is set at 0.4 of, a value is 1. So this is about half the power that we push into the bed. So if we are going to change this value to, let's say, 1. Now I'm going to save and restart. Now I should be able to heat this puppy up way faster. So let's give this a try. I'm going to set it at 120 degrees. So this dotted line right over here was the previous power target, 0.4. And we can see right now that the target has been bumped up to 100 degrees Celsius. We can also see the ramp right over here is a much more gradual ramp. Right over here we can see it is heating up like a hooligan. Now you should know that setting these values can have effect on the quality of this machine. This has been set to 0.4. Why? I don't know. Maybe the SSR is a piece of shit like in the GD+4 and they are trying to gimp on something or trying to protect this printer from melting down. I don't know. So this has to be tackled with quite the urge of checking before we just trust it and say, you know what? You are safe to go. Let's just do it at PWM of 1. So I'm going to revert back to 0.4 for now, but just know that these are the changes that you can make. You can also change the max temperature. If you're never going to print at 130 degrees, just change the value to the temperature that you want to use, or maybe 10 degrees above that. If you want to use 140 degrees, I can already tell you that is going to happen, but just be careful. The silicone heater in here is going to start degrade very severely, or the glue will start to loosen if you are going to be an absolute idiot with the values that I have just shown you. But you can see that the value in the fluid interface is that you can now get into the configuration and you can make some changes that are highly needed in my opinion. We could also see the input shaper values. I could see that the frequency is fairly low, nothing to be worried about, but I'm going to redo them because right now if I redo them, I can actually see how good or bad the vibrations is, and even more interesting, how good the accelerations are going to be, so we can adjust our slicer to this printer, because I think that right now they are going to be super conservative and we are going to be able to check it when we do our input shaper calibrations. So we are going to do two things. I'm going to do a bed mesh and see how bad the bed is. Then we're also going to do some input shaping and see what kind of accelerations we get these slices on. I figured one problem with the Zmod, that is going to be an unresponsive main screen. Like it is doing now, we just did the new PID calibration with the new value. I have set it to 0.7 because I found it super slow, so we bumped it up a little bit to 0.7. As soon as this system is going to save and reboot, then this screen is going to be all that. It is now just stuck. The only thing I found to fix that issue is to turn it off and reboot it. So for every time you are going to do anything in config, save and restart on your fluid screen, this screen will die on you. Now this is an easy fix. You will only do that in the beginning, and after you have done all your tinkering and all your changes, there should be no more need to do all of that and you get back your normal user interface. So not sure how we can fix that. That is not my problem, but it is Zmod's problem. For me, it is fine. It is just so you know that is the one and only thing for now I've found to be kind of problematic, but it isn't. So yeah, it is now booting up again. All right, time to continue on my testing. And this, in my opinion, is going to be the reason why you want your fluid. We can see right over here the belt is severely tilted, and we can see it is for about 1 millimeter. Now for a teeny tiny printer like this one, that is actually quite a lot. This right here is not a perfect example why we want fluid. We just did the screw tilt adjustment, which means that we are going to measure on this plate on each corner where there is a screw. So right over here, that side and that side are screws. And now this piece of software is telling us which screws we need to loosen or tighten to improve our back mesh, which is what I'm going to do right now. You see this all sitting in the green? We have now the perfect screw tilt adjustment. The only thing I don't know is how the bed level is going to look right now. So let's close this window, go to adjustment, delete the previous one, which was 1.06. We are going to home everything, and then we are going to do our calibration. Would you look at that, my brother? We went to a basically perfect mesh. We have a 0.18 of deviation. This is close to the most perfect bed mesh I have ever seen on a printer, and this has been heated at 80 degrees Celsius. Now, if this isn't the perfect example of why you should have open access to your fluids, I don't know anymore. So Flashforge, if you're watching, stop being stubborn. Time to grab some filaments. Now I am very interested to see if this thing is actually working or not, or if we balked anything with updating the firmware. So we are going to use slot number 3. I can hear some noises. Yeah, we are still spooling up the filament, which is great. Like you can see, we are still spooling our filament. We didn't break the multicolor part yet. And for good measure, we are going to add another one, and I'm going to add it in slot number 1. The cool part about the 85X is you can just put in your filament and then it will just automatically switch over to port 1 and it will do everything that needs to be done. This is one of the best implementations of color changing I had my hands on, and it is not going to take until index. Now you can see this one spooling up, and it's not going to take me until index probably before I get my wormhole blown even bigger. So loaded up some filament. Next we are going to do is some input shaping and see what the maximum accelerations are on this machine. And right over here I have another reason why you want fluid. It is even generating our images, and I think this is because of the Zmod, because stock the fluid will not generate these images. But what can we subtract from these graphs? On the left, right over here, we have the shaper axis. So yeah, Zmod definitely did the necessary improvements so we can get our shaper graphs. Now, one thing we can see on our x-axis, we are recommended MZV. We have the frequency of 55.8, that tells you jack shit. And we have a maximum acceleration of 4,600. So this is going to be the acceleration you want to set in your slicer. We can also see that we still have a remaining 0.5% of noise. This is not ideal, and if we look at the graph right over here, it does look like we are a little bit low on our belt frequency. Then if we look at our Y-shaper, we also are recommended MZV shaper frequency of 53.4 Hz with 0% of vibration artifacting, and then we can see a maximum recommended acceleration of 3,900. And right over here, after some finessing, we can see MZV on the Y-axis 4,800, and when we look at the X-axis right over here 4,900, so we got basically the same acceleration. So we gained a little bit of acceleration. We went from 3,900 to 4,800. So we can put this into our slicer. So next up, we are going to see if we can connect our Flashforge by the internet. Let's press OK. Let's go to device, and here we go. So we now have our Orca open. No more Flashforge bullshit slicing. We now have all the things we want right over here in Orca. That also means when we go to speed, let's go down, and then we have our outer wall at 5K. We are going to drop that to 4500, and the rest we can leave like it is. Let's save this. Now the only thing we need to do is put some color in the machine and see what kind of results we are actually getting. I loaded up some duckies in Orca with a spool of neon PLA, and then we have some blue right over here. And now it's time to send this to the flashforge and see if we actually have a working printer or not. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the 85X work with Orca, which is unfortunate. There's some secret sauce that Orca doesn't have to make it work with the IFS. So this thing, the multicolor thingy, it doesn't work. So I loaded up flashforge, it complained a little bit. I rebooted the printer, and now I have a connection between the flashforge Orca and the 85X. So the next thing is going to try again with the flashforge Orca slicer and then see if that works. If that works, I'm pretty fine. I think we can call this a success. We still have our web browser to do all the things. Even when I'm sitting at my desk, I still can log in with the IP address and see what's going on. Not that I have a webcam, but that is going to be an easy fix. Alright, so I can see the IFS and the spool spinning. That means that we do have logic going on the color selection, which is great. It wasn't working with Orca. Here we have the result. We can see the 85X is still working perfectly fine. We have two multicolored duckies that printed successfully. I also bought a new toy, and you can see this is going to be the heated bed at 60 degrees. We can also see that in the middle of the heated bed, we only reach 55 degrees Celsius. So there we have it. We have successfully installed the Zmod. It wasn't without problems. We had to do a clean firmware install. I did drop it one firmware level to 1.1.6, I believe. The latest firmware did not work with the Zmod. After I did a fresh install of an older version, the Zmod installed successfully. Everything got corrupted, but eventually we got it all saved. We were able to fix all those problems. And this printer now behaves just like it would do without the Zmod. We can also see, and this is also a little bit of a downside, is that when you are doing stuff on Fluid, this is not Fluid, this is the flashforge Orca interface. It sucks, by the way. But if we do any changes in firmware and we do some code manipulation, we can also see that if you save and restart the printer, the screen will freeze on you and die, which means it is just the same screen and it is not doing anything. So every time that you do a save and restart or any reboot of Clipper, you will need to reboot the printer so the screen is responsible again. This is not a big problem once you have done all your mods in the firmware. There shouldn't be any need to do the save and restart. After that, everything works perfectly fine. You can use your fluids, do your homing, do your stuff, and the screen will just respond like it should be. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't work with regular Orca. There needs to be done some quality of life changes to make the slots right over here. We have 4 slots on the printer and we need to address it to a color. Right now Orca isn't doing it with flashforge, which is unfortunate, but flashforge software isn't that bad. It works like a regular Orca. But like always, there is also a downside with flashforge. If you want to log into the shitty interface, you can absolutely avoid it because the shitty interface is as useful as this bucket of poop. Use the flashforge Orca without logging in. If you want to have the flashforge interface, you need to log in to be able to see that you can do jack shit with it. So now we have Fluid. Just type in your IP address and you can just skip it all together. You can just use your flashforge Orca. You do not have to sign in to get the device step because it is useless. Now, what is the Zmod adding that is a quality of life? First of all, we can do input shaping, so now we can fine tune our profiles and we can see what is going to be the best acceleration values. You can take those values, you can put them in the slicer. That is a big win. Now we can also definitely see that my bed was a little bit crooked. Thanks to the Fluid interface, I was able to do the Z-screw adjust, which meant that every corner on the build plate is now perfectly level. We have a very low deviation of the bed. It is as good as flat as I can get it. At ATC, we had 0.15, which is really, really good. So the first layers now are going to be way better than it was before. You can now also do PID tuning at a temperature that you want to use. Like I did the bed heater, I bumped it up from 0.4 PWM to 0.7. That makes this heater a lot faster than it was right now. I complained that this was very slow. I thought it was a DC heated bed. It isn't, it is just throttled all the way down. Now I am not sure if it's going to be a safety feature, but I have tested the 0.7 on this print and it seems to take it very well. Now the original safety features are still present. If the heater is dying or the thermistor is dying, then the clipper should intervene to hopefully save your printer from firing up. Now I want to have a big quotation. If you're going to do the mod, there is a very high chance that you are going to invalidate your warranty. Now you can remove the mod, it is all well documented, but if you install it, you screw up and you are sending this to FlashForge to fix it for you, you will 100% lose your warranty. So if you're going to do this, just make sure that you are on your own. Now, what is Zmod? It is very interesting. It is not a new firmware. We are still running the stock firmware. However, if you have seen the series of Alien Earth, you will know the quote that I'm going to give you right now. It is like a parasite taking control over the host. So in the skin, we still have the original clipper, but on the outer surface, we have something that is taking control, and that control enables you to get into your fluids and into your main sails. He did a lot of quality of life features in that mod. For that, thank you so much, the guy from Zmod. I have no clue how to pronounce your name. I will put it right over here somewhere. This is the guy. Go visit him on the GitHub. And if it worked for you, go say thank you to him for doing what FlashForge doesn't want you to have. Like always, big shout out to the members of the channel. If you're not a member or not subscribed to the channel, then please consider subscribing. Subscribing is free. Becoming a member you can do for $1 a month. It is just as cheap as going to the toilet these days. So if you want to support this channel any further, follow the links down below. If you liked this video, then please give me a big thumbs up. If not, thank you for watching, and guys, I see you in the next one.